Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you live from Corner of the Galaxy Studios on Thursday, September 13th, ahead of the LA Galaxy's Saturday, September 15th game against Toronto FC. The team already traveling, getting there early, so it'll be interesting to see how Saturday comes around. We have a bunch to talk about with that game, and of course, still wrapping up the mess that is the Ziggy Schmid departure. A lot more insight into that and a lot more talk. So we're going to have a bunch of fun for the next 60 minutes. We hope everybody's settled in. And, of course, to help me along in this next 60 minutes of LA Galaxy talk is the one, the only, the Portuguese hammer himself. In fact, he has a shirt on that names himself. It is Mr. Eric Vieira. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. I'm glad to be here. You know, whenever you say 60 minutes, I always worry, are we going to be able to fill 60 minutes? And something crazy always happens during the week that can very easily fill 60 minutes. So I'm glad to be here for the Ziggy Schmid Memorial In Memoriam podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit. I know Riot Squadcast did a little In Memoriam there for Ziggy Schmid.
So okay, well, perfect.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's all there. We're glad everybody could join us. I know some people throw it up on televisions to watch this show. John, who's down in Orange County, who's a good friend of the show, says, Josh, your head looks huge on the 65-inch TV. That's real good, John, especially on the same week somebody called me a balding clown.
Perfect.
So I appreciate that. So hopefully the hairline is still hanging in there for a little bit.
We translate well in HD.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think we have?
I'm going to give us some credit.
We have the personality
we have
here.
The face for podcasting is what I've been told that before.
I imagine, yes, you do. I think we do. I mean, geez, at least your beard is consistent. Mine's patchy. Anyway, we have lots of stuff.
Welcome to Beard Talk.
I was going to say. It sounds like it's tool time with Tim Taylor. We're going to talk about beards. So anyway, we have a lot of stuff coming up this week. I would like to remind everybody right off the bat that, of course, we do have the mini golf tournament coming up. On this Sunday. So LA Galaxy will... the LA Galaxy will play on Saturday, and then Panda and Pato Go mini golfing happens on Sunday at 11 a.m. tee time. Maybe get there a couple minutes early. I have no idea how many people are coming. If it's more than 20, I have a feeling it'll be a bit of a cluster.
You're going to bum rush Camelot? They don't know what's coming?
No, they have no idea.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes it even better.
I decided not to call them because I was like, they have golf courses. We don't need anything special. We're not going there. We don't need a party. Yeah. There's no balloons.
You're not bringing an ice cream cake?
No ice cream cake. Don't need to store it in the freezer. So no, I think we're good. So we're going. We're going to go
Exciting.
there.
It sounds like a good time. I know when I first heard about it, I let you know I'm in. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going.
Yeah.
And I checked my calendar and I said I'm definitely not going.
Yeah,
definitely can't go. Yeah, so I'm going to claim muscle tightness, hamstring tightness.
All right, Gio.
Unable to go to the golf tournament, but have fun. It sounds like a great time.
Yeah, I know. I remember the text messages. It's like, oh, I can't go. My wife said no, and
that is not what happened.
I'm already going to some music concert,
going to a music festival. Yeah,
down in Del Mar.
Del Mar. It should be a good time.
Anyway, LA Galaxy, lots of turmoil here in the last couple of days. Eric, I'll let you just start off. They have heard some of the stuff that Kevin and I put out Monday. I will tell you that since Monday, we have gathered more information, and I will have some stronger opinions on exactly where all this lies. But, I mean, your thoughts on the timing, your thoughts on the general message that you saw. What are the optics telling you about Ziggy Schmid and really what happened here with the LA Galaxy?
So... I have mixed emotions about this because I've never been a guy who's 100% been in Ziggy's corner. He's someone who I've questioned tactics at times, and someone who I felt like I was trying to talk myself into Ziggy. Over on Guys in Shorts, the other podcast that I do, I kind of compared Ziggy to Colton Ziggy Tortilla from Bachelor in Paradise, and the LA Galaxy were Colton. So if we lost people with beard talk, we're really going to lose them with Bachelor in Paradise.
Right over their heads is not going to happen.
But basically, trying to talk ourselves into it, but it just wasn't there. So to me, I didn't feel like, losing Ziggy Schmid, I didn't think he was a long-term solution. But I think the hard reset, and I've had this discussion, if there was going to be a hard reset, it was going to be after 2019 when he's had his years to at least have an opportunity to make his plan work. And it doesn't doesn't seem like that he had that opportunity. So so that's why I'm mixed emotions on it. I don't think Ziggy was the guy to blame, but it looks like he definitely got scapegoated here. And the reason why I say that is it doesn't seem to pass the sniff test either. When it says he resigned and I listened to the press conference and it says, you know, his mutual agreement and, you know, and I think Jeff Carlisle had an article today. It said, you know, who asked who? And he says, well, they can answer that. That tells you that someone came to someone first, and it doesn't sound like it was Ziggy. But initially, my first reaction when I heard it was, Ziggy, this may be frustration, and he finally said, I'm fed up with the way things are going, and I'm walking out the door. So it just didn't seem like it was the way it was presented. It seems like there was a little bit of spin going on. So right now, I'm living in two worlds, because part of me, not thinking that Ziggy is the long-term solution, thinks, okay, we can, you know, restart a little sooner than maybe we anticipated and get going with a new coach and a new vision on where this club is going. But the other part of me says, you're hard resetting with 6 games left in a regular season, and then with 3 DPs under contract through all of next season. So whoever you bring in isn't going to be able to execute their vision either. And so that's the difficult thing to where I'm sitting with it.
Yeah, I mean, I put out an article today on Corner of the Galaxy talking a little bit about the long-term planning and how there doesn't seem to be a long-term plan. And because of that, I think this is a difficult thing to stomach. You had a guy, and I will say that I believe the only person in the front office that had a long-term plan was Ziggy Schmid. He had a 2-year plan, basically, and that didn't include the half year last year. That includes all of this year and all of next year.
So a 2.5 year plan.
Yeah, really, it was a 2.5 year plan. And I'll tell you right now, it seems as if Ziggy Schmid has a contract that lasted not just through this season, but through all of next season. So all the way through 2019, much like Giovanni Dos Santos and Jonathan Dos Santos, and it seems like Ziggy was going to be content to sort of leave after that time, at least from the Carlisle interview, where, you know, you can see is that he was going to do it, but he was going to turn over an organization that was short in a bunch of different areas. And we've talked about it before. We talked about scouting being short. We talked about just, you know, maybe the sports physios. What people are throwing things? Oh, nice. That's nice.
I was going to say, the ghost of Ziggy is haunting this room.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had a light fall. No big deal.
No big deal. I mean, it's okay.
It's never moved ever in the history of it being there. But okay.
Corner of the Galaxy earthquake. Never forget. I was there.
And that's exactly what it is. We will rebuild. But no, I mean, you see the stuff, and there were shortcomings, and it looked like Ziggy Schmid knew what the shortcomings were and had a plan in order to work those and get those around. And now that's all out the window again. I mean, it's the same thing with Analfo. And granted, I don't think Analfo was ever allowed to plan long term. I don't think they gave him the leash to be able to. He was fighting for his job the moment he stepped on the field to try to save that job. So for me, you can't sit there and say, oh, well, Analfo had a chance to implement it. He had no chance. He got 20 games. He had no chance to implement a plan. And towards the end, he was doing anything just to try to win games. So that way he wouldn't be fired. So that way he might survive through the rest of the year. So,
and to your point, Analfo also didn't come in with the leverage that Ziggy had. Analfo didn't have MLS Cups under his belt and number of wins in Major League Soccer. So it's not like he was able to say, well, listen, I've got a proven track record. Give me the keys to the car and let me drive this thing. Ziggy at least had that cachet about him, regardless of whether you're 1.0, 2.0, however you're looking at it. He at least had a pedigree behind him to bring in a vision. And again, if he wasn't able to execute what his vision was, it's a little bit baffling, to see him go. And then the timing of it also, we were talking about this. It feels like a long time removed since the 6-2 loss to Real Salt Lake. If this was going to be a move that was made, it seems like this maybe is on the heels of that. You lose 5-0 to Seattle, you lose 6-2 to Real Salt Lake, and then you tie a game to LAFC where you possibly could have walked away with it. And you think, well, maybe this is 3 poor results in a row. That's where you cut ties. But to go a week, right before training,
right.
Part of that is because of the international break as well. I understand maybe there needed to be some time to marinate and figure it out. But the timing seems odd as well.
The timing's really odd, and that leads more to, did Ziggy Schmid quit? I think it's a combination.
Optics. Someone came to somebody first. Even when couples break up and they say, "Oh, we both kind of." No, it was someone's idea.
Somebody's idea. I feel like that there was no long-term solution for Ziggy Schmid in terms of Chris Klein in the front office saying, "We just don't see you sticking around here, and so maybe after this year you're gone." That type of thing. You could see that being how they tried to approach this, and then Ziggy Schmid saying, well, I'm not going to stick around and let you guys do stuff to tarnish what I've already done and what I've already tried. I'm out of to hear now.
Can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah, exactly. And I could see that. And then that sounds like it's mutual, but it's certainly not mutual. I mean, Ziggy Schmid, I think if you ask Ziggy Schmid right now if he would rather be, and he gave you an honest answer and not some PR answer, if you ask Ziggy Schmid right now where he would like to be, he would like to be as the head coach of the LA Galaxy. And that's where he should be. And listen, some of this contract information in terms of how long his contract goes and stuff is stuff that we've been trying to dig around here for this last week. So I know we've always talked about Ziggy Schmid's contract being up at the end of 2018. It seems now that it is 2019, and so that's what we're going to live with right now, which means, by the way, the LA Galaxy currently paying Curt Onalfo through this last year. I believe his contract is up at the end of this year.
Congrats to Curt Onalfo for still getting paid this season.
He's still getting paid.
Again, living the dream.
Two-year contract, and it seems that Ziggy Schmid now will be paid all the way through next year. They're paying Dominic Kinnear as the head coach now, and I'm sure that's more than it's interim.
Okay.
But you do certainly
step up in pay.
Yeah, it seems that way. And so I would imagine they're paying 3 coaches right now, not even counting the next coach that they're going to bring on. And it's likely that if Dominic Kinnear is not chosen as the head coach, and right now I would say that there is almost zero chance that Dominic Kinnear is going to be a head coach, except, and we'll talk about this a little later, if a bunch of things happen. And
6-game winning streak.
Yeah, I was like, and then all of a sudden Dom's the guy. So looking at all that, you're going to be paying some of those coaches because they're going to be getting rid of those contracts as well. So you're spending. Remember, this was a team in 2017, Eric, that didn't want to spend money. That was sort of like, hey, we need to rein back. And
it goes back. Who's making these decisions? Because ultimately, you just listed a lot of people who are under the salary who are not going to be working for this organization through this next season. At what point do the fingers start to turn on themselves, and you start to say, the way whoever's picking these coaches, they need to be reevaluated. Whoever's putting these players on the field that are not performing, that needs to be reevaluated. So at some point, it seems like management needs to be held accountable for not stocking the kitchen with the proper ingredients, because it seems like Ziggy may have had a vision, and you've mentioned it, and the rumors around that he wasn't able to execute the plan, and part of that is bringing in Zlatan, and at the same time, you don't turn down Zlatan.
No.
I'm of that school. I think Zlatan, you find a way to make that work. So I always found that a little bit hollow. If Ziggy is going to try to scapegoat getting a top caliber player,
right, that
being the reason why you can't be successful, you try to find a way to make that work. But at the same time, if he's unable to execute his plan and do what he really wants to do, then that falls on management, because they brought someone in to execute a vision and then they handcuffed him. And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it feels that way. I mean, you certainly see everything that's happened. I mean, I think the same happened with Onalfo. I said that Onalfo wasn't the problem. Listen, no, I'm not going to sit there and go out on a limb and say that both Curt Onalfo or Ziggy Schmid are the best coaches ever to have coached the game. They're not. And Ziggy Schmid may be past what he was doing, but I certainly see, in everything that I'm hearing, tells me that Ziggy Schmid was not given a fair shake. Tells me that Curt Onalfo was not given a fair shake. And even through 42 games, and lots of people could say he had more than enough time to try to execute. You can't say, hey, and by the way, people are asking about length of contracts and how that plays into things. Here's what happens when you have a job that isn't necessarily one you can fill easily, and you need to get somebody to do it. You end up adding extra years. And so we saw that with Siani coming in with a 6-month into an 18-month contract. You see that with Ziggy Schmid. That's probably a 2-year contract. That's actually like a 2.5-year contract in this particular case, or 1.5 years.
That's how you bag someone and say, I'm not going to come into a team that's in turmoil, that's on verge of being in their worst season of all time, and I'm going to be partially to blame for that. How are you going to incentivize me to come into this team? So extra years were probably added to Ziggy's deal. And to go back to Curt Onalfo not getting a fair shake, fired after 20 games, and the LA Galaxy still had their worst season in history. Curt Onalfo couldn't have done worse than the worst season in Galaxy history. I mean, he could have equaled being the worst season. So to give him at least a season, looking back, it seems a bit unfair.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this. Listen, first of all, sports is unfair.
And who's pulling the trigger? Who is making these decisions? And I think that's who needs to be. That's the position that needs to be reevaluated. Well, you could only blame the coach. By your third coach, you have to start thinking, okay, who's putting the coach there? Yeah, it can't be the coach every time.
Yeah, and especially then let's go over the history and just understand. And I said this in my article. This is all stuff. Go on cornerthegalaxy.com. You can read the article, and I think I do an okay job of trying to explain it it's difficult to sort of put all these things in absolutes, but I can get pretty close in the article to sort of point how this has gone. But you look at Bruce Arena leaving, and everybody goes, well, Bruce Arena left to coach the U.S. men's national team. Okay, why was he so interested in going to the U.S. men's national team? And by the way, he jumped at the chance, wanted to sprint out of the LA Galaxy, and from all the reporters we've talked to, and from just seeing Bruce's demeanor, his demeanor totally changed. He went to the U.S. men's national team,
Bruce.
and he was happy Bruce. And it was like, wow, okay. So there was something at the Galaxy that was stressing him out. The Galaxy cut Dave Sarakin's salary in half. That chased Dave Sarakin away. So you chase Dave Sarakin away, you chase Bruce Arena away. And I don't think it's unfair to say that, by the way. I'm not saying it because I don't know things. I'm saying it because I think that's unfair.
And devil's advocate with Dave Sarakin, if you are cutting ties with Bruce and Bruce is moving on, to keep Dave Sarakin around, as unfair as this may be to Dave Sarakin, forcing that offer, you kind of clear whatever was going on with Bruce. You clean the whole house when you get it. So devil's advocate, if you want to start fresh, I can see where you might do that. But at the same time, it's so disrespectful to cut his salary in half and to not give him an interim, not give him a fair shake at any point.
Well, remember, he leaves before Bruce leaves, which is kind of
the
weird.
Writing was on. I mean,
we knew, but yes, you're
yes.
right. They took him. But the whole point there is that they had a ready-made successor that would have been, that is an MLS name, that has had success at MLS level, that was around the team, and that probably could have kept a large portion of that coaching staff together. Mm-hmm. Because remember, what happens is Sarakin leaves, Bruce leaves, and then all the assistant coaches except for Cardinalfo leave.
And they're now at LAFC.
There's LAFC guys that are around, but yeah, I mean, Kenny is over at LAFC. I don't know if
Ante Razov, I believe, is there.
Razov. Well, that was from a Kurt Analfo, though, wasn't it? Yeah, that was Analfo's thing. But anyway, yes.
I'm gonna hit you with a but still.
Yeah, but okay. So you look at that, and that cleans house there. But then you don't really clean house. You stick with Analfo, who is a Bruce disciple. So if you're cleaning house, you got a Bruce disciple.
You're gonna devil's advocate my devil's advocate.
Okay, so yeah. Now, so twist that though.
Okay.
If you now let's put head to head Dave Sarakin and Kurt Analfo.
Okay.
I like Kurt Analfo. I like what he did at LA Galaxy too. I think he should still be within the Galaxy organization. He's doing some of the youth national team right now. He's a good coach. He hasn't been put in the best situations to succeed every time. And this was an obvious case of him being put in a place where he didn't succeed and not in a position to succeed. But I would take Dave Sarakin in a heartbeat. I think Dave is one of the most underrated coaches in Major League Soccer history.
And that's, again, I keep saying unfair.
Unfair.
It goes back to him being under Bruce and being such a good assistant under Bruce, as he has that, that stigma of being an assistant. And for, I know a lot of people are clamoring, for playing the youth and using academy players. You look at what Sarakin is doing with the U.S. men's national team and playing those young players. He obviously knows how to get the most out of a young
there's people who disagree with you. You saying that just had people.
Of course,
somebody just lost it on the freeway. Probably crashed their car. You were responsible for getting somebody in a vehicular accident right there. No, I mean I like Dave Sarakin, but you drive him away. You drive Kurt Analfo away. You fire him. You drive Ziggy Schmid away. Okay, Dominic Kinnear again is in the position right now. Dominic seems like he is in a position that he didn't necessarily want to be in. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you have to imagine he's a former head coach, and he would like to be head coach.
Yes. To me, when you bring in Dom Kinnear, he's not your average assistant. He's not someone who's known as a journeyman assistant coach. So when you bring him in as an assistant, part of me thinks that this is your safety valve. You're break glass in case of emergency. If something goes wrong with Ziggy, you have a built-in head coach already on your staff. And why Dom would want to accept this position as an assistant is, when it hits the fan, he is able to step right into a head coaching position and have an opportunity to earn the job. Even though it sounds, it sounds like he's a dead man walking.
Right.
But at least if something were to happen sooner, maybe he would have had more of an opportunity to make his case.
He's in a position right now which is difficult because he was very loyal to Ziggy Schmid, which was interesting. He came in and said, whenever he came in, we said, hey, well, reporters asked him, are you looking to get a head coaching job out of this? I mean, what's the deal? And he's like, I don't plan on going anywhere right now. I want to be here, and I told Ziggy that I'm here for a reason, and that's why I came in. So you have, and by the way, I don't know if there's I mean, I'm really spoiled. I think Dominic Kinnear is a great guy. He is unbelievably nice. He is very honest. He'll tell you if he doesn't want to answer a question. It's just straight up, I'm not going to answer that. And it's like, okay, well, why? He goes, well, because of this, and he'll give you an answer. I mean, it's very simple. He did not want to answer the question about whether or not he wanted the job permanently. He said, and Scott French asked him. Scott French asked him, and he says, I don't want to answer that. And it was clearly because here's a guy who was loyal to Ziggy, who came in and said, hey, I'm going to be your assistant coach. I'm not here to try to take your job. I want to learn from you. You can learn from me. We can really do a whole bunch of things together and understand that. And I'm not here to take your job. And I'm sure he had to make that clear because he's a former MLS head coach. I'm not trying to oust you. I want to be here on your staff.
He knows what it's like to be in that position, and that's being respectful. And it goes back to optics. He doesn't want the optics of how that would look if right out immediately the body's still warm and you're dancing all over it. So I think that says a lot about Dom Kinnear, and it's refreshing that someone is aware of optics when it seems like the rest of the organization seems to have be a little bit clueless when it comes to how they're presenting situations.
Not just clueless, but they constantly seem to be confused about how it's being taken the wrong way. And it's like, how did you expect that? It's just again, I agree. I mean, the optics have been very bad this year, and it's been bad the year before too.
It's confusing.
I did have somebody say, and if you go back and listen to Monday's podcast, I think there's a lot of really good reporting on there that you can get from Kevin and I that sort of covers what the angles that we knew there then. I'll say that I think the general trend here and from the LA Galaxy side of things seems to be that the players had somehow been fed up with Ziggy Schmid. I'm leaning less and less towards that every day. Okay, I was leaning all towards it on Monday. This is not a science, all right? You have to go talk to people, and you have to hear, and then you have to understand the motivations coming from these people. I mean, listen, if I ask somebody like Ima Boateng if he likes Ziggy Schmid, he's probably going to be like, no, I don't. I don't get to play. He doesn't play me very much.
And what one trait of Ziggy, and I'm going to use Gyasi Zardes as my example, he may not have communicated well with the players who were not on his special list. And so Gyasi, I believe his interview before the season started, mentioned how he's very happy with Greg Berhalter and how he knows exactly which position he's playing and what he's supposed to be doing, which essentially is saying that Ziggy was not telling Gyasi where he was supposed to be playing, what the So the communication was not there. So while the way the situation looks, it doesn't seem like there was a revolt with the players. Ziggy did not seem to communicate well with a lot of players on that roster if they were not in his inner circle.
Well, and I think that if you read the Carlisle article, it even talks about how Ziggy says that Dom was in charge of talking to the players more because that's what he. Well, and listen, there is something to this. There's a good cop and a bad cop.
There's a psychology here.
There is a psychology. I understand that. The head coach makes decisions. The head coach says, "Hey, Eric, you're not playing today. I know you trained really hard. I know you think you deserve it, but you know what? This other guy, Josh, he looks better. He's faster. He has more hair."
I'm getting some flashbacks. It's not making me feel good.
You're going to be on the bench, or you're not even in the 18 today.
I'm going to be on the bench. That sounds like now it tastes like home.
I was going to say. So I mean, that's what the head coach is doing, and you know what? It's up to the assistant coach to come over to you and be like, "Hey, Eric, man, keep your head up, man. You're going to crack.
Okay. You're going to crack the 18.
You're so close
you're
right now."
there.
We had a discussion with Ziggy. Him and I had a discussion, and it was really close. And I was pulling for you, man. I was pulling for you. I wanted you in there, right? I mean, that's what it is. And then that coach whispers in the ear, and he's like, "Hey, you did a really good job. Good job, you. Good job. You know that pass that you did right there? I saw that. I noticed. I'm watching.
See you.
Yeah, exactly. I see you." Right. And by the way, if you ever want to get into I swear the psychology of this is so ridiculously funny. But in every relationship, doesn't matter what relationship you have, it's a I see you or look at me. Right. Look at me, or I see you.
Say the guys who are on the live stream right now.
Look at me. We're look at me guys. Okay, that's what it is. My wife is an I see you, which thank God that works. All right. I'm like
find the right puzzle piece.
I'm like, hey, come over here and look at this. I mean, I'm still that guy. Hey, mom, come, mom, look at this. Yeah. Look at this, mom. That type of thing. But no, you have that, and so soccer players are all look at me guys.
Yes, absolutely.
You need somebody to be I see you. Siggy's not an I see you. Siggy's look at me. Okay. All right, and Dom is an I see you. But now Dom is in a position where there is no bad cop.
He has to be.
He's going to be the good cop and the bad cop. He has to play one. He's a single parent here. He's got to play both sides now.
And one thing, reports are coming out that players love Dom, and it's probably to that point because he never had to drop the hammer. He never had to be the one. He wasn't the one who was saying you're out of the lineup, or he wasn't the one to say you're not cutting it right now, or you're off the team, or whatever it is. He wasn't the bearer of bad news. So of course the players are going to be 100% behind him. But going back, and when you mentioned it, I pulled up the quote. It said, there were rumors that Ziggy didn't speak to the players after the game, and he says, I'm not sure where that's come from. But then he said there were certain times where I wouldn't walk in and talk to them, and that's a bit of a red flag as well. You have to address your team.
Well,
at some
he
point.
goes on in that
And
to
he
say
says
that
he does it
I'll
back
do
at
it
the
back at the
hotel.
hotel when everybody's
I don't
together.
know
It's
if
like
that's
everybody get on the bus and get out of here. Listen, there's different ways. I remember my high school coaches used to come in and be like, "Hey, you guys were horrible out there," and then sometimes you lost, and they were like, "No talking on the bus," and they wouldn't talk to you until you got back. And you're trying. This is totally psychology.
And you have to test it out.
You have to
to
push
see what's
going to
work.
And there's also rumors that Zlatan and Ziggy didn't get along. I'm sure that there were headbutts there.
Zlatan, that he seems like he doesn't have an ego. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he's not a look at me guy.
He's ICU. He's a little doormat there. Absolutely. No, but you see all that. I mean, and that's the different facets. And it's gonna listen. I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter what Ziggy does if the team is winning.
Yes,
they don't care.
That is very,
and
very
so
true.
Losing drives all of this. And we talked about that last year. How we were able to find out a whole bunch of things about the locker room because when you're losing. People tend to talk.
A lot of people want to sing.
That's right. I got unsolicited text messages after Ziggy got fired, saying how, how they were gonna play for Dom and how they were excited about the chance to. But I also got it from guys who are regular starters who were like, didn't have a problem with Ziggy. Okay. Ziggy was fine. He goes, I think the problem was, this or that. And we'll get there.
Name names, Josh.
Yeah,
I'm going to look through his phone, folks.
Just
I'm going to do this
everything.
for you.
Here, you can see it. Here, I'll show it to you right now. It's that person right there.
All right. Wow.
I know.
Wow, I'm shocked by that.
I know. Okay. Anyway, so
it's a picture of a cat, and you know it.
Yeah, that's right. In a Zorro outfit. This is all the stuff. By the way, the chat room, somebody's asking if I played in high school. The answer is yes, I did. However,
it's the strong pedigree of Galaxy
of
the Galaxy
podcasting, right? Did you play in high school?
I did, of course. I
did.
Did.
Did you play varsity?
Yes.
See,
what kind of question is that?
Well, I didn't get to play varsity. All right, there were some issues. There was some politics going on that if you didn't play club soccer. You didn't get to play on the varsity team.
I played club soccer.
See? I mean, you're part of the problem right there. I mean, I was a very good defender, right back and a center back. I could have been the next Dave Romney.
Glory days.
Glory. Oh, man. What? If only so close. I was actually a 3-year varsity letterman in baseball, so I was a better baseball player than I was a soccer
that's
player.
why.
Why?
Yeah, you can't play baseball and soccer.
You can play both. They're different
you can't be
seasons.
good at both.
I was.
Yeah,
what do you know?
Okay, that tells me a lot.
Me
makes sense.
Me and Bo Jackson.
All right, GV.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
That's right, JV. Great. There it is. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, somebody's asking, what high school did you guys play for and what year? So,
do we have to say how old we are? I went to Cerritos High School.
All right, and
class of 2001.
Okay, and I was Newport Harbor High School, class of '99.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't
know. I don't know if we crossed paths. I think we played Newport Mesa.
Oh no, that's not a. That's
no,
that's a school district.
That's a district.
That's a
okay.
district.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. You don't care. I'm sure we played Cerritos. Yes. Anyway, so but going through this, I mean, here's the deal now. You have gone through, and you're going to hire your third coach. You are going through, in quotation marks, your third coaching search. Let's go over the coaching searches that have happened so far, Eric. Kurt Onalfo was settled upon, it seems, or was preordained to be the answer, and they never went and looked ever. I know they're going to say that they searched far and wide. They had international coaches.
You don't search far and wide and land on Kurt Onalfo. No disrespect to Kurt Onalfo.
I like Kurt Onalfo,
yes.
But you're right. Okay, that doesn't happen. And I thought he deserved a chance to be that guy. So sure, whatever, that works. Okay, fine. So you get Kurt Onalfo. Ziggy Schmid hangs around the LA Galaxy for most of the year while Kurt Onalfo is there and romances everybody. He's the guy who kept showing up.
He was outside with the speaker.
There is. No, it was totally that. He literally talked in their ear for 20 games. And before that, there's even rumors that perhaps Ziggy Schmid wanted to show up to training and Kurt Onalfo said, nope, no thanks.
Well, rightfully so.
Yeah, I was going to say, what did he have to fear, right? So that's what you're seeing. So you go to Ziggy Schmid. Again, coaching search is the guy who's been knocking on your door.
Who's been in your ear the whole time. Interesting.
He was very persistent. Didn't take no for an answer. Very, very not of this age right now. No means no. You have to say that.
I'm not even going to go there.
Okay. So, I mean, Ziggy was persistent. He finally got there. Long Beach Poly, Bosco Tech.
Okay.
So we're talking about high schools that people are chatting in the chat room.
This has turned into the high school soccer podcast.
We should do one of those. Nobody does one of those. That would be awesome.
No one listens to one of those either.
That's right.
So there is that.
Prep sports is big. It's crazy. How
unfortunately, big. We played at a time when everything wasn't on the internet, so
yeah.
I don't think you could find stats.
I don't think there's anything on me. Yeah,
I hope you can find stats.
I was a good baseball player. I'll take that. I tried to walk on at Arizona State. Actually, that's
okay.
Good.
There you go.
Okay, there. Anyway, so we go on. So
Ziggy Schmid.
Ziggy Schmid, he gets taken there, and now he's let go after 42 games. So you have not undergone a real coaching search, and this time they have to search because
I was going to say, if you're going to spin this in any positive way, there's no one else. There is no one else in line. There is no one else who's been dubbed. So they really, truly have to search here. I don't think there's another coach who's been hanging out, in the StubHub Center stands, just waiting.
Bruce
Arena.
and Dave are there quite an awful lot.
But oh man, what a mistake that would be to go backwards. But at the
really,
I think so. I think so.
You're
a Bruce. You bring Bruce back for the.
Here's my. We'll get to my argument.
Okay,
but Bruce Arena and Dave Sarakin together again in a different little. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
But to my point, I think if you're going to spin it positive, that this forces them to make a search and to go after, possibly some bigger names than Ziggy Schmid and Kurt Arnolfo. Again, with no disrespect to them, to maybe aim a little bit higher.
Yeah. Okay. So, understanding that, we have to look at the targets that they could possibly target. That's nice. Nice. I have a way with words today. We have to look at the guys who they're thinking about. And listen, there's going to be some international guys who I'm never going to be able to point my finger at.
Pep Guardiola is not coming over.
Yeah, Zidane, Thierry Henry. I think those were Robbie Keane. Those are the international guys. I think everybody is thrown out right now.
Well, Robbie Keane and Thierry Henry aren't, with lack of coaching experience. That makes more sense than obviously a Zidane or a Guardiola or Mourinho.
Here's the problem. Here's what you have right now with the LA Galaxy. You have a general manager who technically doesn't have a GM title in Pete Vianis, who's the VP of Soccer Operations, who is in all shapes and forms seems to still be a general manager and how that works.
Good for you, Pete.
It certainly was, and you read it in Carlisle's piece as well. ESPN, go find Jeff Carlisle's article talking with Ziggy Schmid. I have a feeling there's going to be a couple more articles coming out with Ziggy Schmid too, so keep your eyes open for that.
Ziggy tells all. I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, write the book. Write the book. I'm in there. I will pay $50 for that book right now. Done. Yeah. We'll sell them on the website. All right. But no, it's very clear to me that that with these other articles, and they talk about it in the Carlisle article, is they ask about control over the roster and everything, and Ziggy doesn't answer the question. He says you have to talk to those guys. You ask them. That is a huge difference from Chris Klein.
That's a look at me answer.
This is it's crazy.
That's a direct contradiction to what was stated.
That is nuts at this point in time, and I'm trying to pull up the. I actually have that quote here, but it is a direct contradiction to what Chris Klein says. He basically said that there was no way that there could be any.
He said. Klein said earlier this week Schmid had full control in that area, and when asked if this was the case, he said they can answer that. I'm not going to go there. Yeah. I don't make final decisions.
Okay,
so he has full control, and I don't make final decisions when you're filling out the Venn diagram. That is not in the middle.
No, that doesn't jive up. And Chris Klein in his conference call, which I posted, by the way, the entire audio.
Kudos to you, because and again, when I say optics and an organization who does not seem to be aware of the optics that they are presenting to the fan, and again, I am the fan, showing 3 minutes that was obviously edited and certain parts were cut. You were leaving something out, and so for you to release the whole audio, kudos to you. Thank you for that.
Well, I saw that they only put 3 minutes out, and I said no, and I wasn't going to release the audio because
it felt weird. It felt weird.
It did, and I was like, only 3 minutes. That doesn't make sense because this is a 20-minute conference call. Really, it's 20 minutes, and there was questions for 20 minutes. And I think one person says that it actually gave them a better understanding of what Chris Klein said and put him in a better light, hearing him say it in his own words than it did just reading it, right?
It was only his... Yeah, all they showed was his response. But without having what he was responding to, it fell hollow.
Yeah, this is Chris Klein's direct quote in the conference call talking about Ziggy Schmid having full control. It says, as it relates to the team and the building, Ziggy had full authority to make roster decisions for this team this year. That was clear. I don't see how there was any disagreement. There's always discussions that happen, but we had a great working relationship with Ziggy Schmid. Ziggy Schmid saying, nope. That wasn't, I did not have, and I think really we should say, did not have a unfettered, complete control over the roster. From what I hear, there was lots of conditions in there that did not happen. I think Zlatan is the most obvious answer.
He said it. He said it right there with Zlatan and having money earmarked to purchase other players, and he wasn't able to because someone else had the full control or the authority to make a decision.
You get Zlatan. I have no problems with it.
Again, I don't have a problem with it, and I think to that degree, if Getting Zlatan is where you get overruled. You live with it.
That is,
but if they're tinkering with your $100,000 midfielder or your $80,000 defender, those are the guys that really make the difference in Major League Soccer. And when you're tinkering with those players for a coach, I think that's where the misstep could be.
Well, here's the problem, though. Now there is a long history, Eric, of tinkering with the large players and those large players not working out. All right? Giovanni Dos Santos, Steven Gerrard, Jonathan Dos Santos, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Don't say it. Nope.
I said it.
Nope.
He is in that group, but now it doesn't mean...
But not panning out. You said not panning out.
Yeah, but he is working out, but it's not working for the Galaxy. I mean, unfortunately, they're still going to miss the playoffs. He is not a miss. He is not a miss, but his inclusion on this team has not made them not...
Has not led to success.
Okay. And you can blame other things. Listen, I'm not going to go back into that I think this team is better than Zlatan thing because I got just people just pounded on me. I don't actually, and if you caught the end of it, I said everything would have had to have gone perfect.
Yeah.
In this season, which it didn't. People got hurt in order for that to have been
still
true.
The defense, and if you did fix by bringing in other players, those players would have had to mesh, and you would have had to hit on those players. And not all the Galaxy players that were picked up were hit upon. So, again, but what is it? Butterfly theory.
Yes, when the butterfly flaps
effect.
its wings. Yeah, butterfly effect. Yes. When it flaps its wings, every little ripple. Yeah, I'm glad you try. No, so you have that. So now, let's say you're going after coaches, and we mentioned some of the crazy international ones, and I'm sure there's others that I do not know and that I will not know about any of this stuff. Here is the deal now is that there are some coaches that are local that are very realistic possibilities. I will list them in order of which I think the LA Galaxy might attack them, and the last one is a flyer, but I would not put it past them. Yeah, I didn't tell you about this one.
Nice.
The number one target, it has to be it. Absolutely has to be it, was that the number one target is Greg Berhalter.
Agree.
With the Columbus Crew and soon to be of the Austin Force or whatever they're calling themselves. I don't remember.
I think it's Austin FC.
Is it really? That's so bad. Whatever. It's fine. I have no problems
Google
with it.
But Greg Berhalter, I would co-sign that being a number one, and the fact that his name is popping up in the question for the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, there's something there. He's proven himself as a Major League Soccer coach, and also someone who's a former Galaxy player who seems to do well with front office situations. And I don't know if we're going to go there as well. But if the Galaxy are going to bring someone in, they're now in a position where if you want to be attractive to someone like Greg Berhalter, and let's just be funny, if you want to be attractive to someone like Zidane, you're not going to bring them in and then say, we're going to make the decisions for you. You need to truly give fully control to a coach who's going to come in here.
Here's the problem. If you go with an international coach, you need to bring in a general manager.
Yes.
Because they can't, it's too difficult of a league. And
MLS is too MLS-y.
So you need a top tier general manager and then bring in a top-tier international manager and make that work like they did in Atlanta.
And now you have to pay two salaries.
And now 2 huge salaries, by the way. But that's what it's going to take in order to make that happen. So if you go international, if you go for Berhalter, who is being pursued by U.S. men's national team, certainly, you have to offer him full control. He's a guy who built a team in Columbus. He's a guy who is a technical director, a sporting director, however they want to call it.
Different names for meaning the same thing.
Yeah, so Greg Berhalter is that guy who's going to come in. Now, he's not going to want to report to somebody like Pete Vianis or Chris Klein. No. I mean, the president he can deal with, but he's going to be like, stay out of my house. This is my house. I'm going to build my house.
And I'm not coming unless you let me build my sandcastle here.
And the number 2 pick is Caleb Porter. Probably in that order. Number 1, Berhalter. Number 2, Caleb Porter.
Not as thrilled about that.
Yeah, Caleb Porter is a guy who was successful in college, was successful with the Portland Timbers up to a certain point.
Yes.
I mean,
he took him to. I don't want to say he took him to the apex, but he did. He did well.
He did well for them. Okay, and maybe that was.
He wasn't unsuccessful,
and he left probably, and we have to speculate because we don't know why he left. He hasn't said. He left probably because there was a management that was getting too involved in the team.
Well, and he outgrew his post. And going back to Kurt Onalfo did not have the wins and the success to say, back off. You need to let me do my thing. He was hamstringed by that. Of course, it's the LA Galaxy. That's what they do.
Everybody's hamstring.
But Caleb Porter, the success he had, he deserved to start making a few more decisions. And if they weren't allowing him to do that, then he had the right to walk away because he had earned it at that point.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right. But here's the deal with Caleb Porter. he's not going to want to come into an overbearing front office situation again. He
If
just
he's been
did
there,
that.
done that. Yes.
So that's what I'm talking about. It's absolutely one of these big things. So now you have two guys who are probably your two front runners who are going to come in and say, that's great, but I want full control.
Give me more years.
Yeah, that's what, right? So who are you going to sign to the 4-year contract this
Exactly.
time? And the Galaxy need to have a long-term guy in here. You cannot, whoever you hire is going to be here for 2 years. You cannot get rid of, you cannot do it. I don't care how bad the first year is. You can't do it because they keep resetting. I believe in my heart that the LA Galaxy under Ziggy Schmid are a upper echelon playoff team in 2019 with the tweaks that you're able to make. Because I think there's a lot
because of the exodus of who would go.
Ashley Cole goes, Michael Ciani goes. You probably get rid of somebody like Daniel Steres.
Addition by subtraction.
And you get rid of Baggio Husidic. There's some guys, and then you're able to fill in and do some things. I believe that. Now, are they an MLS Cup contending team? I don't know. It depends on how much you can get out of DPs who have shown that they don't really want to be DPs anymore. So that's the interesting thing that you have to take a look at. But now that you do this, let's say that Ziggy Schmid was only going to be a borderline playoff team next year. He's a borderline playoff team this year.
Yeah.
So are you saying that he's not going to improve the team over the next? And yeah, it might be frustrating for people, but it is crazy. I mean, I'm not saying he was the answer. I don't want to be put in that position, but you're killing a long-term plan and you're killing progression right now.
Well, and to go back to Caleb Porter or to Greg Berhalter, they're going to come in, and I'm going to keep going back to these DP signings. We have DPs through next year, and those DPs are not going anywhere. I know we were sold the bill of goods that we can move these players at any time, but they are not going anywhere. So if you're bringing in someone new to execute a new vision, they're executing it with someone else's designated players that were not signed by them. So there's going to be difficulty for that coach or general manager, whoever you're bringing in, to truly make things work in 2019, and that's the last year you have Zlatan. So you need someone who's going to try to make that work, but it's not attractive to someone come in and play with what someone else built.
Yeah, it's so again, you're going into this with you're going to have to clean it. Yeah, another clean slate. Siggy got rid of 15 players. What happens with the next coach? And how quickly, if you're going international, you need a general manager.
Yes.
So how quickly can you hire a general manager? But there's already somebody in that role. So this is where it gets...
Well, the good news is we have until March of 2019 because...
You don't, though.
I guess
you don't. You have
January.
You
have to start making those decisions, I guess. And
now
you
have to start making decisions.
Yeah, I misspoke. That's when they actually start
Get
coaching. But you start signing players in what, December, November, end of November,
Yeah, but
December.
you have to start releasing players that you're not going to sign
and
after MLS Cup.
And you're looking for them now.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea is that you're trying to go after this and the whole thing.
I made a boo-boo. We're doing it live.
Yeah, we're doing
Go
it
figure.
Live. What do you think? But I mean, trying to do that. Now, here's the third wild card, which I think is scary, and people throw names out, so I listen when people throw names out. Is Jurgen Klinsmann?
I don't hate it. I hate it less than Caleb Porter. Am I crazy? Am I the crazy one?
No, I get it.
He's innovative. He'll try stuff. He'll go out there. You may not like it, but he'll try stuff.
I don't know how I feel. Again, a guy who's going to want full control.
Yes.
You can't, and he's not going to be cheap. I think he's still getting paid by U.S. Soccer, isn't he? Doesn't he have a couple of years?
Wouldn't surprise me.
A bunch of money.
Well, and then you go about not expanding the search. He's a guy who lives locally, so that falls in line with what the LA Galaxy have been doing. Go for a guy who's just local, who's around, has a big name, the big shiny object.
He can fly his helicopter. He can fly his helicopter up the to land in Carson.
I would not be shocked if Jurgen Klinsmann were the next LA Galaxy coach, and I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
I would give him a chance.
You get minus 500 Audi index points, by the way. They just
talking about the youth of the men's national team. I want Jurgen Klinsmann for the LA Galaxy. It's my last show, folks.
It's a bold move. I mean, it's a little bit of a suicide mission here. I appreciate you trying.
This is what the LA Galaxy have done to me this year.
I understand. So anyway, no, I mean that's where you think sit right here. I'm sure there's some other options that we don't look at. That we haven't explored. Yeah. I mean, there's tons. Listen, there should be tons. I will tell you this right now, though. People sitting here and saying the LA Galaxy is a dream job are just fooling themselves. No. It hasn't been a dream job since Bruce Arena left.
Yes, and look at the last 2 seasons that the LA Galaxy have had. Worst season in history, bringing in Zlatan and underperforming. This is not a desirable job. Maybe it's a desirable club and there's history and they're banking on that and the fact that it is Los Angeles. And if you do go international, at least there is that if other international coaches, you're not going to get an attractive international coach, to coach in Sporting Kansas City. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But Los Angeles could be attractive. But at the same time, they're going to wait. They're going to do their research, hopefully, and see what the club has been going through. So I do not think this is a dream job for a coach. You have to get someone who wants to come in and do some work.
Yeah, and I just think that's going to be difficult. I mean, I think it's difficult to get players to come right now. I think they have the same problem. Why would you want to come? I mean, I think the Galaxy got extremely lucky that Zlatan Ibrahimovic was so open to coming to Los Angeles and that he did.
It seemed like it may have been preordained.
Maybe he only wanted to do it and that was it, and he just wanted to come to the Galaxy.
Thing.
Yeah. And they got lucky that he was invested and wanted to do it. But outside of that, I don't know how you get a whole bunch of people to come in. And now, how do you do it? Trying to come into this next season, you have to move fast. If you're not going to get a GM, you get to hire one person and it's done. If you're getting a GM, then you need to hire the international coach and find the GM immediately.
In tandem, because those are 2 people who are going to be working together. So to bring one after the other with a distance in between, you're setting yourself up for the same thing that got us in the situation now with a coach and a general manager not speaking the same language. So if you're not bringing them in consecutively and figuring out a plan together, then your history is just going to repeat itself.
And you have a president who got a 5-year contract extension, so unlikely he's going anywhere.
We're committed to him. That's what it seems like. If anyone's
has a long-term plan,
has
it's
a long-term
Chris Klein,
plan,
right?
yes.
So you have him. The only person who can put pressure on him, there's 2 guys who can put pressure on Chris Klein, is Dan Beckerman. Unlikely. Yeah, I just don't see. I think Dan is fine as AEG president and what he does, but
there's a lot of irons in that fire.
But as Kevin perfectly picked out, or pointed out, is that after the LA Kings were unsuccessful, they cleaned house, got rid of the GM, got rid of everybody, and that was a Beckerman call. I mean, really, whenever you look at it. So, I mean, now you come into, and the other guy who can force it is Uncle Phil Anschutz, owner of the LA Galaxy, and. Listen, I know that people don't see him and don't hear from him, and you think that he's out of sight and out of mind. You don't see him out of sight, out of mind.
Well, and like I mentioned, you got the LA Kings. There's a lot of other things going on with that ownership group, and so, and maybe I'm jaded from talking to people who don't give soccer its due. I wouldn't imagine that the LA Galaxy are higher on their list, and that's just an outsider not knowing what their priorities are. That's how it feels. So, but if they're the owner, so it has to get to them somehow, and the stink has to rise. And unfortunately for Chris Klein and company, it's getting pretty stinky. And at some point, it's going to smell bad enough, and they're going to need to take out the trash.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, people are asking, and we had questions coming in from Javi wrote on Twitter, and he says, the over-under on Klein and Pete Vieira getting the axe from Anschutz this offseason when we miss the playoffs. Unlikely. I'll tell you that right now. It doesn't seem that way.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's... If you were going to clean house, then you would want to clean house everything. Coach, front office,
as soon as the season is over, everybody goes.
So if they don't go at the end of this season, then that's if you're not a fan of the decisions this organization's making, then don't expect much different in 2019. Because if Ziggy is gone, maybe there's a glimmer if you're not happy with things, saying, okay, well then let's start fresh with someone new, and we want to get a new coach in here, and let's get rid of the front office and literally start from scratch next year.
Yeah,
that maybe, but I don't picture that happening.
Yeah. By the way, I'm also the guy who called and said Ziggy Schmid was untouchable and that he wasn't going anywhere. I didn't anticipate the sort of duel,
the way it was gonna
all end.
That's why they play the game. That's what they say.
Yeah,
you never know how it's really gonna go.
No, you don't. And so it'll be interesting. People are asking, what is the most desirable MLS job? If you were a coach and could coach anywhere, Atlanta, New York City, even on that little postage stamp is probably one of those places.
See, now that
Toronto,
when you phrase it that way,
and Toronto's horrible right now, but
when you phrase it that way.
I know.
The LA Galaxy sound like a desirable position.
They're not, though. I mean,
they're not
of
but
the open positions.
Yes.
I mean, but who else is going to be gone right now? There's no open positions. There's
people
one.
say Atlanta because that's roster construction. You want to go coach that team.
Tata and who's the GM over there? And I will not be able to.
Tata's GM.
Is he? But there's somebody else who's.
It's escaping
is it
me.
Bocanegra? Carlos Bocanegra
sounds familiar.
Is in
yes.
that organization. Does an amazing job as well. So I mean, you have a really good team that's right there. I mean, New York City is...
I don't know that New York City is super desirable. I mean, yes, you're in New York City, but at the same time...
They have the money.
They have the Manchester City money. I guess you could see that, but you're playing at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, but that team is good this year. You can say
David
that.
Villa. Yeah, okay.
It's
young talent.
It's not horrible.
Okay. I guess desirable... What is desirable? What is your definition of desirable?
I'll tell you right now, I might take Orlando over the LA Galaxy in terms of coaching positions. I might take Austin,
Miami.
Austin or Miami. Miami is more desirable.
Miami is desirable with the ownership and location. Miami would be a desirable place. Who knows where they're going to play the games? Maybe a parking lot, but still, it seems desirable.
They're going to have awesome pink and black kits. I'm all about that.
I'm here for those.
Yeah,
as well.
I am. I'm kind of pumped about that. That is pretty cool. I like that they went different, and I like that they went with
enter instead of an FC. Yeah, I'm all in on Miami. Good job.
They may have pushed the European side of that pretty hard, but I dig it. I like what they did. But no, I mean, you look at that. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are other desirable jobs. I think the fact that, here's the thing, the Galaxy may not be a desirable job, okay, in terms of what it is.
Of the team that they have. There's not a desirable team.
Of the team that they have, of the people who are there.
And do you want to, is there a coach who wants to come in and deal with Zlatan as well? I mean, we know Zlatan does Zlatan things in a positive way, but at the same time, if things go wrong, Zlatan is going to do Zlatan things in the other direction. So you need a manager who's going to be willing to take that challenge. And there's probably not a lot of people who want to do that.
There's a guy with your last name in the chat room. Robert, is that?
I don't know that guy.
Is that your brother?
It might be my brother.
Okay, I was just checking. He's saying that Portland is a good one because of the great fan base.
Portland. I was thinking Portland, Seattle. But see, desirable to me, I just checked Atlanta off the list, New York off the list, Portland and Seattle, all because of the field where they're playing. Yeah, So again, that's why I went back to what is your definition of desirable? Is it team construction? Is it location and organization?
It's got to be organization. I mean, you have to think about health of the organization.
Who's going to let you, stock the roster the way you want to stock it? I guess that's what it comes down to.
I mean, it's why I think Mike Peckey's going to do so good in Real Salt Lake. They're
letting him
do it. They're letting him,
and he's doing it.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see, that you get better, and that's how it goes. But I think that the health of the organization, and we talked about this on a show a while ago. I don't know if you were on it or whoever was on it. So many people. I can't keep
I'm just,
them all.
a tiny speck in this corner of the Galaxy universe here.
Just a tiny speck in the corner of the Galaxy.
That's why I'm here.
But we talked about health of the LA Galaxy organization, and the bottom line, it's unhealthy. And it has been unhealthy since Bruce Arena left, and maybe Bruce Arena left it a little bit unhealthy. So, he doesn't get a straight pass, but at the same time...
That's why when you say bring Bruce back, I think it's very easy to look at the great things that Bruce did, but I think when he left... we saw some of the imperfections on Bruce.
Now, if the LA Galaxy wanted to solve this problem of them not being a desirable spot, they clean house, they get somebody who wants to be technical side, GM and coach, they bring them in and they let them create
That's very desirable.
What the organization.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, even if you're even money with the U.S. men's national team, let's say they're offering the same amount of money, Greg Berhalter could still lean towards LA Galaxy because it's a more desirable place for him to be.
And the LA Galaxy would be able, most likely, to offer a longer contract. Whatever the U.S. men's national team is going to offer, you can't imagine it's going to be more than 4 years. Given the
you're out here signing people for the 5-year deals.
Chris, it's good enough for Chris Klein, but it goes back to what you're saying. You're going to commit to someone and let them do their thing. A different sport, but you look at what the Oakland Raiders did with John Gruden. They gave him a 10-year deal.
No.
And so
yeah, but here's the deal with the Raiders. Whenever they fire people,
he's changing a culture.
Yeah, but whenever they fire people in the Raiders, they don't pay them because then they fire them for cause, right? And they say we're not going to honor the rest. They've done it with every coach. So their 10-year contracts
don't mean anything. But at the same time, it's a commitment to say we are writing this person and we're going to let them do what they want to do. Going back to your point to saying, next year, no matter how bad they do, you have to let them write it out because you need to let them execute their vision, which obviously Ziggy was unable to do.
It's frustrating to see a team that has this much talent and third best offense in Major League Soccer.
That's the other frustrating piece.
And they're going to waste the last year of Zlatan.
And they wasted Ashley Cole.
I mean, there's guys here who don't deserve to be done like this. Zlatan Ibrahimovic does not deserve to come to a team that is going to constantly change things. And I wonder if Zlatan gets involved in the coaching search as well.
And
a la David Beckham.
You made me trip over my own words here, but that's what when I say that who's going to want to come in and deal with Zlatan. Zlatan probably knows people who could deal with him, and I'm sure he has a say. And if you were to believe rumblings that Zlatan was unhappy with Ziggy, I would not be surprised. If someone has authority, if there's a player who has authority to overrule a coach, he's that guy. So I think it'd be wise to involve Zlatan in the coaching decision because he's someone who's going to be a strong personality in the locker room next season.
Chat room points out, Dubs Brown points out, and wasting Alessandrini as well. I mean,
yes.
You have. I mean, yeah.
Well, last season you definitely wasted Alessandrini, what he was able to bring. This season we haven't, unfortunately, because of his injuries, we haven't been able to see it. So I don't know that it's a total waste of Alessandrini if he's not on the field to give us those results.
Yeah. All right. Eastern Conference, the standings, and let's get you starting to focus in on Toronto here as the weekend game fastly approach. Here we go. Toronto currently sitting in 9th place in the Eastern Conference. New York Red Bulls and Atlanta United have both clinched playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. Nobody in the Western Conference has clinched, but that could happen, I believe.
Yeah, they have.
No.
Yeah, San Jose has clinched not making the playoffs. They are officially eliminated, and that is a sweet sight.
San Jose is quickly winning the race for the wooden spoon. So congratulations, San Jose, as you go. But yeah, Western Conference, nobody has qualified yet. I think some of that could happen this week, but FC Dallas atop with 49 points, Sporting Kansas City with 48 points. LAFC with 46, Real Salt Lake with 44, Portland Timbers 44, Seattle Sounders 41, Vancouver 40, and the LA Galaxy at 38 points. If you look at the Supporters Shield standings right now, it is New York Red Bulls at 1.96 points per game, which is just under the 2.0 points per game that Atlanta United has, but they currently have one more point than them after playing one more game. New York Red Bulls sit in that Supporters Shield standing. The top Western Conference team is FC Dallas, which sits in 4th place in the Western Conference right now. I would like to point out that as we have been doing, we've been relaying 538.com's playoff standings in terms of how likely the LA Galaxy are to make the playoffs. It was 13% last week whenever we started.
So 6-2. Did that bring us up in the percentage? How does math work?
It doesn't. Well, this was after that.
Okay.
It's
but other games in hand.
Yeah. There's other games that have been played and other things. So 11% now is your chance of making the playoffs.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
The only other team that has a less chance of making the playoffs that isn't less than 1%, which is a bunch of them, because Minnesota, Houston, Chicago, San Jose doesn't have. San Jose's the only one that's 0, by the way. They don't have any chance, but less than 1.
Okay.
Yeah, less than 1%. Is Toronto FC that has a 4% chance of making the playoffs. Apparently, they're 9 points back with 6 games remaining. So Toronto looking for some miracle of miracles, just like the LA Galaxy looking for some miracle of miracles.
We're double elimination, duel to the death this weekend is what it sounds like.
It feels that way. They are 4%, LA Galaxy at 11%, New England at 15%, and then Montreal at 38%, Vancouver at 29%, DC United at 52%. I will tell you right now, if the Galaxy win a game, that percentage goes up, all right?
Oh, is that how this works? Wow, I'm glad you're here, Josh.
I'm here to explain math for you. So,
and the other thing is if the LA Galaxy played in the Eastern Conference, they'd be in a playoff spot.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
With as good as the Eastern Conference is,
they're top heavy.
They are top heavy.
Yeah, very top heavy.
And the Western Conference is very meh throughout.
Yeah,
so everybody's right on top of each other.
Mediocre all the way across the board.
It really feels that way. So that's how it is. The LA Galaxy schedule coming up. We talk about the game against Toronto coming up on Saturday. Then home on Sunday. There are only 3 home games left, and you're going to get 2 of them back-to-back. Sunday, September 23rd, Seattle Sounders in town. That game is at a 4 p.m. Pacific time kickoff. You have then the next Saturday, September 29th, Vancouver Whitecaps, both Western Conference teams, both teams that are above the LA Galaxy, and both need to be wins if the Galaxy have any sort of happy path to the playoffs. Listen, I sound optimistic on this. The 11% is optimistic in my mind as well. So
yeah, I think there was a question on Twitter that I checked before we got on here: is this a must-win game? If they lose to Toronto, are the Galaxy out of a playoff position? They're already out of it now. I think when you go back and you look at all those missed opportunities, ties that could have been wins, losses that could have been ties, I think those chances have already been squandered. So I don't think whatever happens in these few games is going to be what the difference is. Even if they win these games, you still need other teams to falter. So it's not going to be what the Galaxy can do. It's going to be what mistakes other clubs make.
Yeah. I agree. It's going to have to. Listen, I've said this before. People keep asking me if the Galaxy can make the playoffs. Yes, they can. They win all 6 games, they're in the playoffs.
18 points. We got it.
Very
We're
simple.
First place.
Yeah, it could be first place. I mean, it's that close. I mean, but you look at all those things, and that's unlikely to happen. The game against Toronto is a very difficult game. And let me give you the basics of this game. Again, Saturday, September 15th, 4:30 p.m. kickoff time. The LA Galaxy go traveling up to Toronto in BMO Field. This game is a Spectrum Sportsnet, Spectrum Deportes televised game. Toronto 7-14-6, 27 points, 9th in the Eastern Conference, 19th in the Supporters Shield. The LA Galaxy 10-10-8, 38 points, 8th in the Western Conference, 13th in the Supporters Shield. Toronto's last game was a loss at home to LAFC, a 4-2 loss on September 1st. The LA Galaxy's last game, of course, was a 6-2 loss on September 1st.
It's not important.
It feels like forever ago.
It does.
But you also have the stats on what the likelihood of the Galaxy...
Percentage of wins. So that's something that I usually check before I come on. What's the likelihood? And again, 538 is our gospel that we're preaching here. But looking into the game this weekend versus Toronto, Toronto has a 57% chance to win the game, a 20% chance to draw, and then the LA Galaxy have a 23% chance to win. So it doesn't look good. But
what happened last week? I
went back last week. LAFC also had a 23% chance to win, and they ended up winning that game 4-2. So if you're going to disagree with 538, if they're going to be wrong, we hope they're wrong 2 times in a row against Toronto.
Yeah.
They're giving Toronto a lot of credit for a team that's in ninth place in their conference and that is not having a great season. They're giving Toronto a lot of credit, or they're not giving the Galaxy any credit, which maybe they've bet on them a little too much, and now they're going the other direction. And then one thing that maybe should be considered is the Campeones Cup.
Oh, yes.
Toronto FC does play
on the 19th.
Yeah, I think 19th? It's a Wednesday. It's the Wednesday after this Saturday's game.
The 19th.
The 19th. Thank you. Yes. No, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, 19th.
No, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, that one.
So who knows if because they're so far out of a playoff race and a supporter shield, maybe they're saving players for that, or maybe they're looking ahead. They're not really worrying about this LA Galaxy match. It all depends on what the lineup is going to look like for Toronto FC.
I mean, they have to believe that they can still make the playoffs if they're going to start that A
There's
lineup,
always a
right?
chance. There's always a chance.
All right. David Bingham talking about the match this weekend. Everyone knows what's at stake. I think you'd have to be a fool to not understand what's on the line. We have to go there and get a result. That's all there is to it. We have to do better defensively. I don't think there's any shying away from that. I don't think we've shied away from it the entire year, but we have to do better on the defensive side. Zlatan talking about this game, talking about if the coaching change might be a distraction. And Zlatan, of course, in the most Zlatan way, says, because if you have 700 games, 499 goals, you focus only on one thing. That's playing I was almost doing a Zlatan accent there. Did you hear it?
I started.
Heard it. I almost did. I'm not going to do it.
You
499 goals, you focus on only one thing. That's playing the game and doing your job. I've been doing this for 25 years. Whatever happens on the side, I still have to do my thing on the pitch, and I just repeat what I've been doing before. Play the games, score goals. It cannot be a distraction. You have to be mentally focused on what you need to do. For me, it's not a distraction. Regarding Toronto, the last few years, they've been doing very well. This season, up and down, they have good players and are playing good football. I think it's a big game in MLS. These are games we like to play. For me, it's a must-win, no problem. All the bets on this one, I have no problems with that.
Yes.
Let's win. I'll do my best. We will do our best. I like the games when there are a lot of things on the table that matter. This is what you train for. This is what you live for. This moment, we don't want an easy situation. We want it difficult because when we succeed, the feeling of success is even better.
Is that from Miracle? That was a heck of a monologue there.
He is very monologue-y, but when you listen to it, it's chopped up because his English is chopped up, right? But when you write it down,
that was impressive. I'm ready to play now. Let's start the game.
Getting you all excited. Let me finish with Ashley Cole because I think this is important for the Toronto game. He says, I think the way the season's gone, it's been up and down. Imagine if we had won 5 games, we had draws, we'd be near the top. It's not impossible, and it starts on Saturday. They're a good team, and they're fighting for a playoff position as well. So, yeah, it's a must-win game for us. I mean, we go into it. It's not a must-win game. I will tell you this, and this
can they all be must-win games and all not at the same time? Because at some point you have to win these games, and if you look back and say if we would have won those 5 instead of lose those 5, then we would be sitting pretty. So could you go back and say, well, those were must-win games because had they won them, they'd be in playoff position. So Yes, they are must-win games.
You can't.
But technically, I
they're
guess
not.
they'll have an 8% chance after they lose this game.
I mean, who knows? It depends on other results too. What happens
Yes.
if all the Western Conference wins and the Galaxy lose? I mean, because they're playing an Eastern Conference team, you don't get the boost that you get by
Yes.
beating this. I mean, you need the points. Take the points. Take
Yes.
3 points. You want 3 points. But a point doesn't kill them or knock them out. It's a point. Because
the purgatory that I'm afraid of.
It's horrible. It is. It's
Just kill. Yeah, give me the sweet release of death, or take me home. This drawing your way to an elimination is brutal.
It feels that way, and I get it, and I know that, and it's one of those things. Here's the problem with the must-win games. It's a must-win game.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens when you lose?
Then you got the next
Then this
one's
one's
the
a
must-win
game, right? I mean, and that's fine to have the attitude for the players. I understand it, and it makes sense. And if I'm a player, I'm saying it's must-win game.
You have to put that pressure on yourself to perform.
Absolutely, and everybody. Dom was talking about how there needs to be pressure. They're professional soccer players. You have pressure every time you get on the field. That should be what you're looking at. Now, injury-wise, there are some interesting injuries that we still have to pay attention to. Sebastian Lletget is still questionable. Don't know if he traveled yet or not. Giovanni Dos Santos, questionable. Don't know if he traveled yet or not. Rolf Felcher, who told people he was injured, but maybe isn't injured, and hopefully he'll be available for this game. Don't know if he traveled yet or not. So those are sort of your injuries when you sit there. Does it mean Michael Ciani starts? I mean,
I think Mikey, he's going to start in regardless.
I
think he's a staple. I think you ride him out.
You ride him into the sunset.
You ride him into the sunset.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
What does Dom do? I mean, Dominic Kinnear is a 4-4-2 guy.
Does he change the formation?
Does he change the formation? Do you do that? Do you put 4 back there? Do you put 4 in the midfield?
And then you have to look at how Toronto play as well, because Toronto have played in a 4-3-3. And so if you do switch to a 4-4-2, you're leaving your shaky defense, with 4 guys back there instead of 5. Even though it's
never
even
5,
though it's 3,
it's 4.
It's 3.
Even though it's 4,
even though it's really 3. Center backs and then Ashley Cole, whatever you want to.
And Rolf Felcher if he's healthy. If he's healthy.
But that you have to consider that as well. Is he going to adjust to what Toronto is doing, or is he going to come in with his own focus and let's execute our focus?
Siggy said in the Carlisle piece that they were going to go very defensive. Did you read that?
I did.
He said, it'll be interesting. I think Dom has the tools to make a run and he can do it. He goes, but it would be interesting to see how they play because we were going to go very defensive. Okay.
With all the offensive talent we have, let's go defensive.
Let's go defensive. That has been an argument. That's almost why you're like, Siggy, see ya. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
I get it. But I also don't. If you're bleeding goals,
just throw all the bodies.
Let's get everybody in front of it.
Just to do a 10, a 9-1, just 9 defenders and Zlatan up front.
I'll tell you this. Last season was boring and disgusting and really hard to watch. This year, it is exciting every time. I don't care. Even when they lose 6-2.
The train is crashing. You can't look away, but you need to watch it.
You never know. What was that horrible movie that was about the train?
Or wasn't there Snakes on a Plane?
Yes, there's Snakes on a Plane, but there was one about a train with Denzel Washington.
Oh, yes.
And that's a horrible movie, too. And the whole time this
but
train
it has
is
Denzel Washington, and there's a train that's going to crash. You're in. I'm in.
It was like...
It doesn't have to be good. You have Zlatan.
Yes,
the train's crashing. I'm in. I'm watching.
I want to see what happens. And that train keeps just barely escaping things every single time.
Chris Pine is in that.
Yeah. See? That's a great movie.
I watched it. Yeah.
I watched it multiple times. It is a horrible movie,
yes.
but yes, I watch it. If it's on TV, I watch it.
Yes.
It will be one of those. So, Unstoppable, is that the name of it?
That sounds right. Yes,
I think that it had something really, yes.
Kudos
thank you.
To you, chat room. Thank you. That's why you're here.
What a horrible movie. But Denzel.
And the premise, a great premise. The premise is there.
I like it. I like train crashing.
The LA Galaxy are built on a great premise.
So
poor screenplay, but a great premise.
If the LA Galaxy were that movie at the end where the train is dangling on the bridge and it slows down just enough time to not spill the dangerous chemicals all over the town that somehow has this turning bridge.
Great
on
premise. Great premise.
If this was that in the final scene there, this train goes off the tracks and destroys the entire town, kills everybody there.
What's the Planet of the Apes? Is that 2 or 3 where just the world just ends and that's it? And it's over?
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. So that's what happens
darkest
in that movie.
timeline.
Great. I'm really glad we went through all this stuff. I hope everybody had fun. A quick reminder.
Predictions?
Do you
a draw?
I mean, obviously, right?
I think we want a win so bad.
It
terrible
clouds your judgment.
It clouds your judgment because you want to win so bad, but at the same time, Toronto has a lot of talent on that team. Everyone, talks about Giovinco, but you look at Osorio; he's having a great season. He's a nice young player, and Altidore is always dangerous. I don't picture them winning. I could see them losing this game 3-1. Zlatan sitting on $4.99 gets the 1 goal in Toronto away from. It's just the ultimate misery tour. And right now, to be honest, that's kind of what the Galaxy deserve.
LA Galaxy have not beaten Toronto since July 4th of 2015,
it's
a
tough
4-0 win.
Not just crossing international borders.
In Toronto, Galaxy are 1-2-4.
Yeah, not good. See, it's not promising. History is not on our side here.
Galaxy are winless in 6 games. Toronto has one win in their last 6 games. That's really the streaks that you have going there. I mean, Sebastian Giovinco is a great player. Josie Altidore is a great player. Michael Bradley is a great player. They haven't shown a lot this year. Sebastian Giovinco only has 10 goals this season. He also has 14 assists. I mean, he's still been really good. Yeah. And who do the Galaxy have that's going to match him? Who? Tell me.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. You look at the players that we just mentioned, Osorio and Bradley and Giovinco. What do they do well? They go down the middle of the field. And what do the Galaxy not do well?
Stop people from going down
the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So, if we shook our magic 8-ball here, outlook not so good.
We went before we actually started recording,
behind the scenes for everyone.
We went and looked for all of the magic 8-ball sayings. Yeah. And what are some of the bad ones?
Reply hazy, try again. That's what we were hoping for with the Galaxy game. Very doubtful. Concentrate and ask again. Cannot predict now. So all these non-committal answers.
Now I went on ask8ball.net and said, will the LA Galaxy make the playoffs?
Official sponsor of the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, will the ask8ball.net. And it says, outlook good.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Okay.
So clearly this is a broken site.
So 8-ball says yes.
Yes.
The two analysts say no.
No. Yeah.
You pick your poison.
Yeah, that's right. We should have an 8-ball pick a game every week.
That's a great idea. Again, great premise.
Next year,
great premise.
We're going to do that. We're going to see how he's going to. Somebody says Zlatan is going to tell Giovinco he's short. Well, yeah. The U.S.-Mexico game.
Let's not go
what
there.
Fun was
Wrap
that?
it up.
All right. Just a quick reminder. You already know this. This is the last time I get a chance to say it. I'm wearing this ugly shirt for a reason. Pando and Pato go mini golfing. We are there.
Will that be on Spectrum Sportsnet or Spectrum Deportes?
We should get the sideline reporter Katie down there, and she should do it live from the Panda and Pato mini golf. We should have the commentators commentating mini golf. He's lining up the putt through the windmill. He's got about 18 feet. It's
right off the clown shoe.
Breaking left to right, and he completely missed. Anyway, we're gonna have some fun over there. So come join us. I don't know what's gonna be. We're not telling them we're coming.
Let's flood the place.
Let's flood the place. Show up.
If you work at Camelot Golf,
look, we're coming.
Warn your staff.
We're coming.
A rowdy bunch is coming through.
We're coming, but I'd love to see everybody there. We're just gonna have some fun. So show up. We're gonna play some mini golf. I'm sure we'll find some little goofy things to give away and have some fun with.
Sounds like a fun time.
We just want to say hi to everybody. And quite honestly, it was the only way my wife was gonna let me play mini golf, away from things. And I did practice, which I talked about on the Monday show, and I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah. Megan Riza, that's who it is. Yes. Megan. Yeah, that's Katie. What's wrong with me?
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Megan.
No disrespect, Megan.
Yeah. So Megan, she's doing much better, by the way. I really like her. I think she's going to be a solid sideline reporter. Yeah. I hope they keep her up. So
yeah, I like her.
Anyway, so we'll certainly see everybody there again Sunday. Go to our Facebook page, or if you're listening to this podcast, there's a link at the top because I'm going to put it there that you can click on that and you can go ahead and sign up for the event and just say that you're coming. So that's it. We'll see how that goes, and of course, I will be overly ridiculously competitive because it's mini golf.
That's the only way to do mini golf. To be fair,
I almost punched my own son on last Sunday because he's 7 years old, and
you're saying you're being recorded, Josh. Be very careful.
But you know what? He deserved it. All right, I'm just gonna say that he
don't rob a hole in one and get away with it.
Yeah, it was going in, and he did not need to just slap it out of the way with his putter like that. That's an illegal move, and he needs to be taught a lesson. If there was an enforcer on, somebody would have checked him in the boards.
Nice.
All right. Cleats up tackle. He would have deserved it.
Yeah,
he would have deserved it. He would have deserved it. So absolutely. All right. So again, you can join us out there. Let's see. Is there anything else that you want to get to, or are we good?
I think we're ready to roll. I think we've done enough. We've done our job here.
Maybe, kind of. We kind of threw the towel in on this one. I mean, let's be honest. Let's put the blame where the blame is. All right, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at GISHammer. You can also hear me on the Guys in Shorts Sports Los Angeles podcast. You can find them on Twitter at Guys in Shorts LA. It also is football season. The Rams are back, so you could also listen to The Rams House. It's another podcast focusing solely on the Los Angeles Rams. You can find them on Twitter at The Rams House. So those are all my plugs. Follow those guys, and you can find me here.
He won't be at the mini golf, of course, because he bailed.
And again, it's been my last show.
Was gonna come, decided not to. All right. Anyway, if you're looking for me on Twitter, at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, at Galaxy Podcasts, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can find at this podcast, if you click on this, all of the details for the mini golf tournament. We'd love to see everybody out there. We're just going to go play, have some fun. Who knows how good we'll keep score. Kevin will try to cheat. I'll yell at him. It'll be a good time. There might be a brawl. Who knows? Never know. All right, I think that about does it. LA Galaxy taking on Toronto FC this Saturday, September 15th. Spectrum Sports and Spectrum Deportes, 4:30 p.m. kickoff time. It's an early one, so easy to get to. We'll certainly see how it all goes. All right, for Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.